Hi, I'm Beth Pipe, and welcome to my Avoiding Awkward Silences Top Tips for Networking webinar. Yeah, networking session. Networking session. I'm laughing because just the number of time people go to them and they're like, and I think this is a great title about we're scared of the awkward silences, aren't we? We go to a networking event and we're all worried that we're going to be the knobby no mate stood at the side of the room going, why is nobody speaking to me? And I tell you what's really interesting about networking events is we go along to them thinking it's only me that's thinking that, and everybody else here is absolutely fine. I've run these sorts of sessions for so many years and I've been to so many networking events. I can guarantee you that pretty much everybody else in the room is thinking the same thing. You know, if you've ever been into the loos before you go in, certainly in the ladies, can't speak for the gents, but in the ladies, we usually like, take a deep breath, recenter, refocus, let's do this. So what I've done is I've put together a whole list of different practical tools, techniques, and things that we can do to help us get through a face-to-face networking session. So we're going to cover perfect preparation. What can we do before the event? We're going to talk about setting goals and objectives because we rarely do that. This is what I talk to people about, and they tell me they get a lot from here. So I've never really thought of setting goals and objectives before going. I just thought my goal and objective was getting out in one piece and not saying anything stupid in between, which is an admirable goal, but there's more that we can do. We'll look at why it feels a bit awkward. I'm going to give you some tips for striking up a conversation, some top tips for initial approaches. We're going to talk about asking questions, having good structured conversations, how we overcome the fear about talking about ourselves. I'll give you a whole list of things to think about preparing, not to rehearse like a set speech. So when somebody says, "Who are you?" you go, "Let me read my pre-prepared speech." That's not going to sound good, is it? So I'm going to give you some tools that you can do for that, and closing conversations and keeping in touch. So what do we do at the end of the conversations? And really interestingly, I have put a slide at the end here, at the end of this session, about the flip side of this. So people say, "Oh, you know, what do I do? How am I going to go along and talk to somebody if I don't feel like talking to anybody?" And then inevitably, when I run a session like this face to face, I will inevitably, every single time I've run it, somebody will say, "How do I get rid of somebody who just keeps talking to me and won't go away?" So we've got a slide for dealing with that as well. So we're going to myth bust silences because it's about avoiding the awkward silences. Let's myth bust the silences in three. So point three: social anxiety, fear of judgment. Why are we worried about it? We worry about being evaluated in the silence, especially in professional settings. Silence can trigger thoughts like, "Oh, it must be really boring. They're so not interested in what I've got to say." The fear activates inner critic and it makes us hyper aware of things. So we can just reframe it because silence doesn't necessarily mean it's a rejection. It could just be a moment of reflection or transition. Silence may not necessarily be a bad thing. It could be just a natural lull in the conversation, and we need to not fear it. So don't dread the silence, embrace the silence. Two,